everyone listening live on Facebook and or catching this on YouTube at a very later date. I am your host of the Team Lead Talks podcast, Andrew Becker out of Alexandria, Virginia. I have on the podcast today out of Central California, Scott Farrow. Welcome, man.
Hey, how are you, Andrew?
Good, dude. I'm glad. We were just talking in the pre-production conversation where I think you were scheduled to be on the podcast like 45 days ago, and then holidays happened. I almost died with the flu and all this stuff, so I appreciate the patience, but I'm glad to finally connect, man.
Dude, I've been looking forward to it, and I was telling you again this morning, I jumped in, listened to some of the podcasts, and I'm excited to be on here. You've had some greats on here, and I had a little bit of imposter syndrome joining today, but we're here.
I'm just adding to the list today, my friend, so you're going to be up there with everyone else. But I appreciate your time and you taking, I know you're a busy dude, so taking the time out of your schedule to do a podcast at, 1 p.m. my time in the middle of the day for you in the morning, but much appreciated, man. So let's jump right into this, dude, because I know we had a conversation on the phone a while back, and you do a lot in real estate. There's a lot to unpack and a lot to share, but give us the high level overview of everything kind of like that you touch on here.
Yeah. So, I am the director of acquisitions for a fix and flip and wholesale business out of Fresno, California. So if you look at the state of California, Fresno's right in the middle.
Okay.
We operate a 4-hour up and down territory. So just below Sacramento to just above LA.
Okay.
And I run our sales operation. So last year we did just shy of 100 deals, and my responsibility is just growing that top line revenue number. And on the side, I've been selling real estate as a licensed agent for 8 years now.
Okay. And for those listening that don't know the role acquisition manager, can you please explain that and what that entails?
Yeah. So as you grow a business, you go from being a salesperson to having to have some middle management to operate a team. And so I run the day-to-day operations from a lead hitting our system all the way through a property being purchased and closed on to start renovations. And so my responsibility is all of the team members that help qualify the leads and schedule appointments, all of the team members that go out on appointments and actually lock up deals.
Cool.
I, by default, run a lot of the deal analysis, and then I'm kind of our go-to person when things hit the fan in escrow. As you know, not every deal is smooth, not every deal is simple when title issues pop up or, things like that. That's kind of my responsibility to play as a special teams player.
So you're top of funnel, essentially, Scott, where your responsibility involves finding deals, figuring out if they work, and then actually seeing them come to fruition.
Exactly right. Make sure I buy deals that make us money.
Yeah, exactly. So talk about your team. Like, how are you guys structured? I know you're the acquisition side of things, but can you give us like a really general overview of like the organization itself and like where you fit into that? I know we talked about yours specifically, but like there's a broader organization at hand here. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're not a huge team. I think right now we're around 14. And the way our business is divided is there's the owner, Jason Pritchard. He's kind of the visionary and ultimately one of the top decision makers. Right below him, you have myself in the sales role, and then we have an operations director. The two of us run separate teams that commingle a lot. So the operations guy, he's in charge of our on-site handyman, our property manager, because we have about 100 rentals. He makes sure that he's communicating with contractors, our bookkeeper, our accountant, our attorneys, our CPAs, all of that. I work with all of the salespeople. So underneath me, I have 2 acquisition people, 3 lead managers, a TC, and a dispo manager.
Okay. So at what point in this process, Scott, when you acquire the property, like are you turning it over to your ops guy to kind of handle all the daily stuff that need to happen, but then you're also maintaining visual of it to make sure that it actually closes?
Yeah. And so when we contract a property, my operations manager and we have a recurring meeting on Mondays, and we go over the most recently signed deals. We determine exit strategy for our deals. Last year, we were 55% wholesale, 45% fix and flip. So I give a recommendation, and then he gives me his opinion as well. And then from there, we divvy up responsibility on the escrows. But I keep an eye on all of them.
So you're trying to figure out the best exit strategy for when you do have these properties come across your desk, whether you're wholesaling it and just kind of, selling paper, or you're doing fix and flips as well?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, dude, in today's world of real estate, especially in the US and probably in the world right now, like a big thing is like where are these people that are doing 100+ deals a year finding deals like, from scratch? I'd imagine too, if you're doing 100 deals a year, you're finding way more leads because not every lead converts. So, can you share like your marketing efforts? Like what are you seeing out there right now? Like last year, what's working, what's not working?
Absolutely. I mean, last year, if I'm being honest with you, was a very trying year on the marketing side. We've always been a very lean machine. And for the longest time, we were one of the lowest marketing spend teams for our size. So we would go to masterminds like Collective Genius and we'd hear these budgets of $100,000 a month and all this, and we'd be spending 25. And so we always kind of did well in that. And we've been doing direct mail. Jason, the owner, started really consistent direct mail in 2014. So we've ridden the direct mail wave for a long time. So to this day, direct mail is our number one lead source. Right below that is relationships. And so part of that is, being realtors ourselves, we have a good relationship with a lot of the agents in our community, but we also ran a coaching program for 2 years and trained up a lot of people. And so between those two efforts, we've always had a lot of referral business or joint venture opportunities. And then after that, we've really fiddled around with a lot of stuff. We've cold called for at least 10 years. It's kind of our tried and true low cost way of marketing.
You still doing that today?
Yeah, we've taken it and outsourced it to a couple of the big outsourcing companies here in the country, but for a long time we did it in-house. And so our lead managers, our virtual team members are pretty elite because they've put in thousands of reps over years. And then after that, it's the classic PPL, CO, and that's a majority of our leads.
Okay. And your direct mail campaign, I find it funny, like one thing that we started around the same time with direct mail in like 2013. And it goes in cycles, like everyone's all for direct mail and then all of a sudden it stops working. But those who just remained consistent was like, it never stopped working for me because I just kept doing it. Kind of sounds like you guys fell into that same bucket like we did on the East Coast over here. Because we were like, man, this returns, like, why stop because everyone else is saying it's not working? I'm curious though, like your messaging in your direct mail, number one, who are you guys targeting in the delivery of your mail? And then what's the message, if you're willing to share, that, makes direct mail your number one lead source today?
I'm going to be honest. I mean, we do not reinvent the wheel. We are one of the best at copy, paste, and implement consistently. So, we started with niche lists and we hyper targeted tax delinquent, death of a joint tenant, and U.S. probate, which is a probate conglomerator. Those were our best, and those are unique, right? For the probates, it's always a more sensitive conversation versus the tax delinquent is going to be a little bit more financially based.
Yeah.
But in terms of everything outside of probate, we have done very well with the check letters. We adopted the check letters probably in 2021 or 2020. And for a long time, those just ripped. People would call, hey, I love this. Let's do it. As more competition has gotten savvy to it, we've really had to distinguish ourselves post first phone call. And so the struggle we're dealing with is just, sellers aren't opening a lot of mail because of the competition level in our market.
Okay. What's a check letter, dude? Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah. So the check letter is kind of a genius way of marketing. It looks exactly like what you get when you get like a refund from a doctor's office or something like that.
With the serrated edges?
Serrated edges. You have
cool.
You have like a clear panel that you can see through, that you can see it's a check made out to you. And so it entices you to open it, and you open it and it says, hey, my name's Jason. I'm reaching out to you about your property. We're ready to buy this home cash as is, blah, blah, blah. Call this number now to make this a live check. That number feeds directly to our sales team that takes the conversation and moves it through the process.
On the check, are you actually writing a dollar figure that they to that unique property?
Yes, sir. So,
okay.
There's a couple ways to do that. We paid for a data provider, and they have their own algorithm on how they price homes.
Okay.
But also, our mail provider has their own algorithm. We've split tested and found that actually the mail provider has the best algorithm.
Interesting.
And so that number's gone up. We started by mailing 70% of market value for a long time, and that was sweet. But as competition has come in, they learned if they just keep ratcheting up the number on the check, they get the call, then they beat them up on price later.
Yeah.
We found the sweet spot to be right about 80%.
Okay. Dude, I've had so many conversations with people about marketing, and I think this is the first time I've ever had somebody say they send check letters, which is really cool.
We send 40,000 check letters a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, that's awesome. I love that. I'm going to have to like pick your brain about that later. Maybe you can share who you're using to do that, but
I'll get you
really
all
cool.
the details.
Very cool, dude.
The most recent iteration too, it looks like an IRS return, like a tax return.
Oh, around like tax season.
That worked very well as well.
Do you have numbers you can share on the successfulness of that campaign?
I mean, I could share the numbers. I'm going to be honest with you. None of our marketing is performing top of the funnel as well as I'd like.
Okay.
But I can look at last year. So just real quickly, last year, we ended up getting from those check letters 1,500 phone calls. So, I mean, it's not like crushing in terms of total volume of calls, but it is our number one conversion source. So for every, 7 or 8 of those people, we had a contract that net us $25,000.
Very cool. Dude, you are sending, that's a lot of volume where, I think you said 40,000 a month. How are you guys tracking all this? I'm assuming you just looked at something. I'm assuming you have technology helping you out. Like, what are you using to keep all this organized?
Yeah, so we have Resimply as our CRM. And so I've, over the last year, really gotten pretty dedicated to making sure that our marketing KPIs are extremely accurate. So it tracks through there.
And I'm sure that makes it easier on you all to know what's working and what's not working. That's a big thing. You'd be surprised how many people I talk to that don't have the ability to just be like, click, click, here's what we're doing with real tangible data. I'm a big kind of data factual guy, and I love making data-driven decisions. Is that how you all operate as well?
I wish I could say that we've always been that way. We've been very good on instinct, but over the last 2 years, we've expanded the team. Our marketing's gone up. The market has been tough. So we've made much better decision-making on data.
Yeah.
And we're finding it fun. It's like a scientific experiment when you try new marketing. We'll set like a target. We will track it meticulously. And then if it works, great, we repeat. If it doesn't, great, let's try the next thing.
Cool. Yeah, so you're like constantly A/B split testing.
Constantly.
So you guys have pretty like awesome team. Like I think you said 14 people. You're sending out a lot of marketing. You're doing a high volume. I'm sure along the way, dude, like stuff has gone awry and not worked out as it can. Like, can you share one of those learning experiences and like what happened and how you solved that?
Yeah. I mean, I can share more personal testimony than just team testimony.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
When I got in the business, I was 18. I was like a barista at a local coffee shop, and I got into real estate. And, what was really interesting was by the time I was, 21, I did the classic acquisition guy thing, and I went and flew the nest and said, I can do this and make the lion's share of the profit. And, the mistakes that I made in that period were probably the hardest. That was when I was probably making the most money, but was like the most frustrated. And a lot of it had to do with just inconsistencies in doing the things that move the needle. I wouldn't market consistently. I didn't hold my team accountable consistently. I didn't measure consistently. And the worst part was I didn't pivot when the market told me to change, which led to just this huge cash crunch where I had to let go of my team, had to kind of put my tail between my legs, come back to the company I work with now and say, hey, look, like I've tried this whole flying the nest and I wasn't ready for it. I had some success, but not discipline.
Yeah. Dude, discipline is key when you're trying to grow and scale a company. And dude, I've been there before where you're just like trying to keep your head afloat above the water and then like it all just comes crashing down. But once you can get consistency, what a world of a difference, right? I mean, how do you feel now compared to that time, whenever that was not too long ago?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I could say is, there's a sense of peace knowing the data, even if it's not good news, the news. And because we've been more, consistent in tracking this information, you don't get slapped in the face when things go wrong. You typically have a better idea ahead of time. So you've already pivoted before you start feeling any of the pain. Yeah. And that's been a big blessing. We unfortunately had to let go of a team member earlier, end of last year. I wasn't caught off guard by it, and I don't think she was either, because we had tracked it and we knew it was coming. And the conversations that led into that led to an actually pretty mutually beneficial breakup on that end.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, okay, we're not making money, everything has to go. It was like, hey, this is the trend that we're seeing. Like, we're going to try to fix it over the next 6 months. And if we don't see improvement, something has to change.
Dude, that is the difference. I love that you just said that example, because that is the difference between like a true owner and like just an operator not having their stuff together. I always reference that as like, you have the ability, when you're tracking consistently and automatically, if you can, to be proactive in your decisions. In real time is even better. So by week, by month, by quarter, whatever you guys live your life by, to know the trend and to have that tracked, then those conversations, whether it's with a person on your team or a lead source, like obviously you're not going to like talk to the lead source, but you see that coming. If they're performing really well, you know it in real time. It's not like a shock of, oh, it's the end of the year. Like, Scott on the team cost us $50K this year. He didn't return anything. Oh my gosh. Like, let's talk to Scott. And that involves like performance reviews sooner rather than later, and pivoting and tweaking and So I'm a big fan of any owner that I talk to that's always like, man, I'm not reactive anymore. Like in my CRM, I literally get stuff emailed to me every night, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, oh, this seems off. Like, let's deep dive into that. And it's not like I'm going to find that data and then figuring it out. It's just like looking at the data constantly. So you're like, man, these numbers are way down. Like, what the hell is happening? And then you zoom super straight into whatever it is. And that's how I think efficient, optimized businesses should run. And it sounds like you guys share in that same value.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely working on it. And frankly, it's been a learning curve. We joke about building the plane as we're flying it.
Yeah.
And you can't just stop and reset everything. So the last 2 years, I mean, the amount of changes we've undergone has been pretty intense. We try to keep that family feel with the team.
Yeah.
We still want to be that small business that, can make dream lives happen, but we've definitely become more corporate so that like both us and the team members have an awareness and a sense of peace that like we know where we're at, good or bad, and we can adjust accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's an accountability thing for you as an owner or a manager, but it's also an accountability thing for your team members as well. Because these numbers won't lie, right? It's just fact. It's data. It's not like your discretion or your emotion at any given point. So really cool that you guys have it set up that way. I love that. Scott, I know we're kind of hitting the mark now and we all have things to do today, but the last thing that I always like to ask people that are on this show is like, what's the one book, checklist, PDF, anything that you can share with anyone listening right now to better their life, their community, their business for the better?
Man, I knew this question was coming too. Best resource.
Or do you read? Is there a book that you just read that kind of shaped or changed your life? Just anything or quote, anything.
Pertinent to this conversation, the book that honestly changed my way of running our business to be less of a hobby and more of a business was The Goal. It's a book called The Goal, and it talks about manufacturing of all things, but it's very applicable to our business.
Interesting. I've never heard of that book. Who's it by? Do you know?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
Is it by Elijah Goldratt or L. Kennedy?
Elijah Goldratt.
Okay, cool. I'm going to buy it right now.
I would never have thought I would read a book about manufacturing, but as an operator, it's interesting and it's told very well.
Cool, man. I am going to get it in 2 days from now. Thank you to Amazon Prime. And thanks to Scott for sharing that with me.
How about that, dude?
Cool, man. Well, appreciate your time, dude. If you can stick around, I just want to run something by you after this. But thanks so much for sharing your wisdom. And hopefully, like I told you before, if someone listening can pick up one thing from you to, you know, take and go do in their own business, then we've accomplished what we set out to do. So thanks again for being here, man.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for the invite.
All right. See ya.